This podcast is brought to you by New Life Ministries.
Welcome to the Every Man's Battle podcast. I'm your host, JJ West. On this podcast, you will hear honest conversation and encouragement for living a life of sexual integrity. Let's get to today's episode. Welcome back to the Every Man's Battle podcast. We are so glad that you have joined us today. We're going to be talking about how to continue to have hope if you're doing good work and she feels stuck. I think this is a great topic for us to talk about. My name is JJ West. I'm the host of the podcast. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in the Central Florida area, and I've been working with the Every Man's Battle Intensive since 2009, and I'm joined by Doug Barnes.
Hi, JJ. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Doug?
I'm doing well. Excited for our topic today. I'm just a little bit about me. I'm a licensed professional counselor here in Dallas, Texas. And I've been a part of the Every Man's Battle intensive programming since 2001 in the call center. I joined facilitating the Every Man's Battle intensive groups, the small groups, in 2006. And I've been doing that ever since. And so it's getting close to, I'm in my 20th year of doing that. And it's just, it's such an honor to get to be able to be on the front lines. And so I'm happy to be here. Let's talk about what we need to today. I'm ready.
Let's dive in. Happy podcast day to you, and happy podcast day to everyone listening. I hope that you are doing well. And I wanted to say at the start of the show, I mentioned this at a previous episode as well, that we want to make sure that you know, if you are a listener and you're planning to go to the Every Man's Battle Intensive, when you sign up, if you put in the discount code EMBPOD, EMBPOD, you'll get $100 off your registration fee. Or if you're calling in to register, just let them know, hey, I'm a listener to the podcast. I understand there's a discount for listeners for the audience. Let them know that so that you can take advantage of that discount, because we want guys to get there. We know that God meets us at that intensive. That I say it all the time. God shows up and shows out at the intensive. We see it over and over. And it's just not, it's not enough just to download information. It's about relationships, and you experience that at the intensive. So we want you to go there, and we don't want finances to be the issue. So make sure you take advantage of the discount. Okay, Doug. We're talking about how to continue to have hope if you're doing good work and she feels stuck. So I think we need to define some things in this just at the start so that we're talking about the same thing. We're on the same page. So let's start with, what do we mean by if you're doing good work? What do we mean by having hope? And what do we mean by her being stuck? Okay, so take any one of those and we'll jump right in.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good start. So measuring our good work. How do we measure our good work? Mm-hmm. And some of this could be misunderstood as perception versus reality. Mm-hmm. Because it's not just the tasks. So at our intensive, I'm not going to give it all away, but at our intensive in sessions 5 and 6, we talk about our battle plan. What is tactical and practical that we need to be doing in order to walk out and live our recovery day to day to day to day. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we stress is that the task cannot be the focus. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, because I'm doing things, and there's a pretty good list of tasks that we have on our battle plan. Correct. But we need to realize that the task is not going to get us where we want to be. The task is a means to get there. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that as we're measuring our recovery, or if we have a measuring stick out there, it's not the number of tasks that we do. Mm-hmm. It's how those tasks, however many there are, and it doesn't matter, how those tasks are working on my character strengths and weaknesses to sanctify them, to be more Christ-like, and to build a better redemptive relationship with the primary relationships. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we think sometimes if I'm doing task A, B, C, and D. And I'm not trying to trivialize it by saying task, but there are things that we do. And we've said this in previous podcasts. There are things that we do in our life. I go to work. In my work, I'm doing a task or tasks. I do projects. I have lists. I have line items. And so we're taught throughout our working life to accomplish a task, cross it off, and go to the next one. That's how we get paid. You know, if I'm in construction, I complete a construction project, I get a wage, I go to the next construction project. You know, if I'm a project leader for a software company, we do all of the coding and we test it incessantly, and then we deliver it to the customer, then we get paid. And so it's this transactional. Or is this going on too far? Am I taking this too far?
Okay. No, I'm tracking with you.
Okay. So we get measured by the task completion. This is a little different, where we're doing the tasks to address the issues in our heart. And so when we talk about how do we measure our work? We measure our work in the company of other believers, especially other good, godly men.
Yes.
Now, we can do it inside of our marital relationships or significant other or fiance, or even in our home life if we're single. And we can measure it that way, but it comes from within. And it's not something that you can tangibly say that it's changing. It happens through the work that we're doing that addresses the issues in our heart. And I know that sounds ethereal and it sounds like spooky and, oh my gosh, I'll never get that right. But that's not really true, because if I have the willingness, number one, because it's all about my willingness. If I'm not willing to address these issues, then it's not going to go anywhere. So I need to have the willingness, I need to have the courage, and I need to have the community. And so when I have those things in front of me, or at least I'm involved in those things, then those character traits inside of me can be addressed. So it's less about perception, because, you know, we can always talk about the data. We can always talk about my perception.
I went to X number of meetings. I read X number of chapters. I did, these many battle attack logs and blah, 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 blah. Right.
And that is a great segue, because it's not the meeting that helps me change. It's what am I taking from the meeting for me?
Correct.
Knowing myself, that needs to be addressed internally. So when I read chapters in books, I don't read 5 chapters just to say, yeah, my wife and I we read 5 chapters last night. Okay, read 3 paragraphs, make some notes, underline, highlight, and make notes in the margin, and then take a breath, and then turn to her and say, let's talk about these things that I thought were great for my recovery that I took. That's helping it get internal versus just being about data and outcome oriented.
Yes.
So it's not the number of things I do, it's how are the number of things I'm doing that I'm taking those
how I'm
nuggets
doing
from. Yes, inhaling them and really savoring them and allowing them to work internally. That's the reality.
It reminds me, I think a good reference would be for the audience to go back and listen to earlier this season. We did measuring recovery success, parts 1 and 2, and kind of identified the tangible and the intangible. That would, I think, be a good reference point to go back to in terms of, okay, understanding that difference. But then, okay, so let's say that I am in fact working on character. I'm not just checking the boxes. I'm not just doing line item stuff. I'm absorbing that. I'm working on me, and then she feels stuck. What does it mean for her to feel stuck? How are we defining that, or how are we describing that?
Well, that can be defined and described in many, many different ways.
Okay.
One that I hear most have to do with the conversations that we have that sometimes can seem repetitive.
Okay. Right.
Okay. So
she's still asking me about this. She's still not trusting me here. She's still angry about this.
Right. And in a sense, she's giving us the answer. I mean, we don't, we overcomplicate. I overcomplicate things. And so in trying to simplify it, it's like she's giving, I tell husbands this all the time. And like boyfriends and fiancés, I tell them this all the time. You're overcomplicating it. She just told you what she needs. And so that's an area that we need to, okay, yes, this other work is good. Now we need to concentrate heavy on these areas. If she's still not trusting, okay, how do we work on building believable trust building behaviors as it starts to work on the sanctification of my character? How am I becoming more of a man that God is calling me to be? Do I even know that?
Right.
Do I even know?
Yes.
And sometimes we take that out of context as, well, I'm doing all the right things. Well, but does that line up with who the man that God is calling me to be? Who am I becoming?
Right.
Because if it doesn't, go ahead.
Right. No, I was just going to say we can make recovery our next addiction. Yeah. And I'm going to 10 meetings a week, and I am making the calls, and I am reading the literature, and I'm going through my workbook, and I'm meeting with my counselor, and doing group therapy and blah, blah, all this stuff. And I'm hiding in that in the ways that I used to hide in my addiction. And it's keeping me from pursuing authentic relationship. And especially for those who are married or who have a fiance or significant person in their life, it's keeping me from pursuing authentic relationship with that person. Or it can if I'm simply task oriented.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I can become addicted to recovery and hide and not be known and not be pursuing authentic relationship where we're, as you said, like I read the paragraph and go, okay, let me share with you how this is impacting me. And then share with me how it's impacting you. And let's talk about what that might look like for us moving forward in rebuilding trust or in having a deeper level of intimacy.
Right. And that there's some points to follow through on. I was saving those, but as we talk about her being stuck, we probably need to address those now. A lot of wives, girlfriends, significant others will be sharing their heart, sharing their pain. This behavior of yours hurt me. You hurt me in this way. You continue to not share with me, not be open with me, not want to chase my heart. These are common statements. And so I want to be really respectful of those wives and significant others and those family members too, who are hurting because while he may be doing work, he may not be listening to those hearts that are saying, okay, you're doing, but what about me? And so one of the first things I put there was be there, be present. How do I be present in her pain when she says, I don't think you're hearing me. I don't think you're listening to me. I don't think you're pursuing me and chasing after me. Oh yeah, you've got your guys and so you've got your group and you've got your 10 meetings a week and you've got your sustained victory group and you have your clinician. Well, what about me? I'm sitting here in pain, and it's what's that analogy you say at the workshop? It's like she gets cut with a sword.
When you get upset that she's expressing her pain, it's like you stabbed her in the chest with a sword, and then you're mad at her that she's getting blood all over the living room floor.
Right. And so it's either I get mad. If the perception is that we're mad at them, or like we don't care.
Or
like we're not pursuing medical attention. In this case, we're not pursuing her heart to help listen to the pain. Well, Doug, she said that 400 conversations ago. Okay, well, this is 401. It gives you another opportunity to go deeper.
Means there's still pain there.
Place of intimacy. Yes.
Like just because she said it 400 times doesn't mean the pain went away on, time 100, and she's just been beating it for the last 300 just to hear herself talk. No, she's expressing that because there's still pain there. Yeah.
Right. We would never tell, never. And we know how we hate to use words like always, every, and never, but we would never tell a grieving mother who lost a child 3 years later, get over it. Stop talking about this. Stop grieving. Stop crying. Move on. We would never, ever say that. So why are we metaphorically doing that now when she's saying, I'm still in pain by the effects of your behaviors?
Yeah. Yes.
And so it's being there for her. It's being able to be proximal, to be close, whether shoulder to shoulder or knee to knee or just some place of connection where we're
holding
there.
hands, looking her in the eyes, right?
Yes. Eye contact. Yes. Wet words, eyes, touch. And it's being in the moment with her for that 401st or 4001st. It doesn't matter.
Correct.
For her, and I can't verify this because first of all, I'm not female and I'm not the cross section of the world. This is conjecture on some of this. So please, no hate email. For a lot of spouses that I come in contact with, a lot of the wives and now fiancés and significant others are saying, for a lot of my life, I have not felt seen, I haven't felt heard, and I haven't felt valued, whether it comes from my home or when I get into dating relationships. And now when we do our stuff, that only reinforces what they've been taught and what they've believed most of their life. And so this is the perfect, intimate way to say, I see you, I hear you, I hear that you're in pain. Some of this pain is caused by my decisions, and I'm going to take full responsibility for that. And being able to be there in that moment and to be present. To be present in that moment. Words, eye, touch. Yeah.
I hear that same sentiment of don't feel heard, seen, known, valued. I think a lot of times they'll say, I feel lonely.
Oh yeah. I'm invisible.
I'm invisible. Correct. And so I think about, if you're a guy who's in recovery and you're trying to do good work and you're hearing that from your wife, I feel lonely, I feel invisible, I don't feel heard, I don't feel seen, I don't feel valued. Boy, that's a really good wake-up call to say, it's not about tasks, it's about the heart. And I want to make sure that I'm, just as you said, Doug, I'm present. And I'm not just in the room watching TV while you're, I'm present with you. I'm present to you. I'm paying attention and offering empathy. I'm offering compassion to you in your pain. I see your pain. And especially if I'm the one who caused the pain to begin with, it'd be really good for me to be empathetic there. Yeah.
Right.
Y'all have done me an excellent service through this referral network of counselors.
For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
If you need a counselor, whether in person or virtual, New Life can help. We have a nationwide network of licensed Christian counselors. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
And okay, so let me segue on that because that's a great point. Because a lot of us, I'll own it, I was not taught how to be empathetic. I wasn't taught how to listen. Great, I'm the solidarity here. Okay, great.
Yes.
I wasn't taught how to be empathetic. I was taught to be selfish. I can be selfish. Man, I can make it about me in a heartbeat. But what we're talking about here is you brought up empathy, and with humility and compassion, a sensitivity to the pain that she is struggling with in the moment. I hear it so often. Again, I've said it, but I hear it so often. I don't know what to say, or I don't know how to connect with her because I don't know what's going on in me. Okay, so if we pull it back even pre-episode in some of those episodes that we did prior that you mentioned, I'm going back and I'm looking at how can I get in touch with the emotion in me It's always been there. I've just
Mm-hmm.
denied it or put it away or stuffed it or whatever word we want to put there. But now it's time to dive into that place for me so that I can be now present with her. I can't give what I don't have. And so if I realize, and I'm honest, that I am not real good at empathy, okay, then we're going to learn how to speak Japanese phrases. It's hard. Let me just verify and validate that. It's hard. What we're talking about, y'all, is hard.
Correct.
It's hard for me, right? But it's having the courage to now, if I know that I don't have that skill set, well, how do I get that skill set? How do I learn how to speak my wife's heart?
Right.
I speak her language. I don't make her speak mine.
And as I am learning, it's okay to say in that moment, I don't know what to say here. I don't know how to connect with you, but I want to.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm sitting right here with you.
And I'm not going anywhere. I'm not running away. It's uncomfortable. I don't know what to say. And I feel stupid because I don't know what to say. And I feel like there's something you want from me that I can't give you, but I'm not going anywhere because I want to be present with you. I want to learn. And I'm committed to learning. I'm committed to growing in this. I'm not good at it. I didn't learn it growing up. I don't have a lot of resources, experience to draw from, but I'm committed to learning, and I'm committed to staying with you as I learn.
Right. And the goal is not the goal. The goal is not to get her unstuck.
Yes.
That's not the goal. That is not the goal. This is not outcome oriented. The goal is not the goal. The goal is to hear her heart, because that's what can be very healing. Remember, if I've grown up not feeling heard, not being seen, not being valued, and not being cared for in my family, well, then now you've done these things, and now I'm feeling the same way. So the goal is not for me to move on. The goal is for me to just share my heart with you as a husband or a boyfriend or whatever, and for me to listen and hear you and validate.
Yes. I say it.
Healing begins.
Yeah. I say at the intensive, both the Every Man's Battle intensive as well as the marriage workshop, I say that the enemy of our soul, right, the devil, he's crafty, but he's not creative. And so he'll use the same strategy over and over and over. And we see that in our own lives in terms of our temptations to sexual integrity issues. But it's the same as well for the women in our lives that we love. The enemy has bombarded them with, you're not seen, you're not known, you're not valued, you're not worthy. And so when we act out, it's that battering ram hitting that same wound again and again and again. And so our being willing to sit in that pain with her, our being willing to even just humbly say, I don't know what to say, but I'm staying here, that flies in the face of what the enemy has attacked her with all through her life.
100%. Yes. Yeah. Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
So then our response, typically we have reactions and we hear about that. Oh, she's saying all these attacking things, these ugly things, these offensive things, whatever. I mean, we've all heard what they were. But what if I'm really listening to her heart? I'm listening for what is she really saying to me? I hear the words. Yeah, the words hurt. Trust me, I think that's why God gave us testosterone, okay? Because we can handle the onslaught of the words, but what we need to do is tap into that tender part of us that can attach to the tender part of her and listen to the message. What is she really saying to me?
Yeah.
And more often than not, it's, I'm still hurt. I'm still in pain. When are you going to hurt me again? Will I ever be able to trust you again? Under all of that stuff.
Right.
And so she's giving you a window into that stuckness because she's not finding relief from the pain that she's in. And we can be a huge catalyst in that when we respond to her and not react to her.
Yes. Okay. So that kind of brings us more into the final thing that we need to define, which is having hope. Because I think that is, in order to stay in that conversation, in order to, we have to have hope, and the hope has to be outside of ourselves. Like, my flesh won't stay in that painful conversation. My flesh goes, nope, this is uncomfortable. I don't like this. I want to get out of here. I want to go. I want to go play golf. I want to go work on the yard. I want to go play video games. I want to get out of here as quickly as possible. That's what my flesh does in that moment.
Right. Right.
So how do I continue to have hope from God outside of myself to stay while she's still hurting? How do I stay in the recovery?
Okay, great question. And this is how I would approach this.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is that we talk about, especially in early recovery, compartmentalization.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned to compartmentalize our addictive behaviors, our words, our deeds, our places we go, people we see, things we think.
Mm-hmm.
And the concept is, while I should be, or while I needed to be thinking about the damage I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
I had compartmentalized all of that wrongdoing in this little container, and I shoved it away saying, okay, well, that's over there. I'll just put all of that over there, and I'll show up at home being the all-American husband. It's like, hey, honey, glad to see you. How are the kids? Come here, Fido. And, I'll get back into my life. And so
Mm-hmm.
I had this part of denial in me that says, yeah, I'm doing all of this stuff that really is hurtful, and it's going to cause years and possible generations of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to pull that container out and open that up. That's where our work is.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
when we're in recovery, we're going to use that container for our good.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're going to do now is, when our spouses, significant others, girlfriends, when they are in this place of being stuck and they're letting us know, and we're using our good listening skills, and we're using our good empathy and humility and tenderness
Mm-hmm.
skills, and we're with them in this hard place,
Mm-hmm.
there's a greater than zero chance that something's going to come up for me. I'm going to have reaction. My little kid is going to react. That
Mm-hmm.
6 to 16 kid is going to react.
Correct.
And that's where that big hole in my heart is. And that incompetent, insignificant, or impotent wound is going to be opened up, or at least pinged a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be able to open up that container real quick and be putting all of this reactionary stuff in there, so that I can be present with her in the pain.
Yes.
And we're going to set that container aside for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
so that
Mm-hmm.
we can be present with her and listen to her and be validating for her in the pain, because that can be very healing.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that conversation is over, that's when I get to go open up that container now with my brothers, my groups, my clinicians, my pastors, my ministers, someone else, other healthy men in my life, where I can now open that up and say, oh my goodness, you wouldn't believe what I heard. This is the pain. This is what I wanted to do. And they can start speaking truth and health into my life of, okay, let's talk through how that affected you and where that's come from for you.
Right.
So that the next time you get into that, you may not have all that dialogue. You can coach that kid into a place of tenderness and compassion and self-worth.
Yes.
Because that takes us to our other point of and I think that's a place of finding hope, because it helps me not react, and I can respond in the moment with her.
Right.
But it helps me take that now to respond with other healthy brothers to help me stay grounded. Then there's always hope in that.
Yes.
It's like, God, help me just keep my feet on the ground. And we can talk about grounding exercises too, but it's with others. And then we need to realize probably the most important, not probably, Doug, we need to recognize the most important, which is, where is our true identity? On the day that God breathed life into my lungs, He created me out of His love for me, not out of His hatred for mankind, or that He despised my mom for getting pregnant too soon, or my dad's alcoholism, or whatever other things we can come up with. He created me out of His love for me.
Yes.
And so He knows the number of hairs on my head. He knows the tears I've cried. He's kept all of that. And He knows that He can encourage me anytime. And when I take my eyes off of that, now I'm in a worldly identity
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that is more focused on what you talked about as the addiction of self,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
last addiction.
Right.
And so I see the world now through my identity, not through the way God created me.
Mm-hmm.
Because he created me, he infinitely loves me and dearly values me just because he created me, not because I'm a great computer science major, not because I'm a good musician, not
Mm-hmm.
because I can
Mm-hmm.
play guitar, not because I
Mm-hmm.
can, do complex fractions or whatever. I'm making it up, but not because he's given me those abilities. Those are good things,
Mm-hmm. Right. Nothing wrong
but
with
I
any
need
of
to
that
take
fact. Yeah.
I need to take my identity out of the stuff
Mm-hmm.
of worldly
Right.
good and dominance and money and power and possessions and property, and
Mm-hmm.
put it back into how does God see me? Because that is where I ultimately need to be focusing and living through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think
Correct.
that for me, that I over the years, that has brought me more hope,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that he wants me to be integritous way more than anybody else on the planet does. And so
Right.
so when
Right.
I live through that
Because it's actually
integrity,
good for me, not because he's sick of me lacking integrity, but because he wants me to
right,
have more and more
great
life.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
And it's so interesting because like we can see it in a broken way with our own children. Like no matter what my kids do for a living, no matter what skills they have or don't have, I love them because they're my kids.
Right.
I'm
Right.
proud of them
Right.
because
Just
they're my
because.
kids. Right. And
Yeah.
and that's a broken human expression. But God loves us perfectly because we're his kids, not
Right.
because we did a certain thing, didn't do a certain thing. He loves us because we're his kids.
Right.
And so our identity, yes, is grounded in that, which then translates to my hope. My hope is found in nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness, right? Like my hope is not in me getting it right to the point that she's happy with me. My hope is
Right.
in what Christ has done, being created in his image and redeemed by Christ. That's where my hope is. And it's
Right.
reinforced by, I love what you said. We need to have other guys that we can process this with who can reframe, okay, she's saying those things because she's hurting. Not a bunch of knuckleheads will go, yeah, I can't believe she said that. Boy, that's terrible. You shouldn't take that. Like that's not helpful. That's not gonna help me continue to have hope. That's gonna sow seeds of resentment, which is gonna take me then back to my addiction once again.
Right.
My acting in and then acting out. Right.
Right. Right. Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, this has been such a good conversation, Doug. I so
This
appreciate
was.
all that you offer to the audience. I so appreciate all that you offer to me. So thanks.
Mm,
It's so
thank you.
good to talk through these things, and we have to do it together. We have to keep doing this
Right.
together. We have to keep having this communal conversation around what it looks like to walk this out, because there are so many times, so many different ways in which the world, the enemy, and my own flesh want me to not have hope, to get discouraged and give up. And I have to be part of these conversations with God and with my own heart and with others that help me to stay in and to continue to have hope and continue to do good work, even if I'm not necessarily seeing the result, the outcome that I was hoping for. Right.
Today. Right. But
Today.
instant gratification. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Is I want to see it today. Well,
Yeah.
we're like you said, we're sowing the seeds of redemption
Mm-hmm.
and reconciliation, and it takes
Mm-hmm.
time to feed
Mm-hmm.
and water and
Mm-hmm.
and allowing them to grow. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, each one of these it helps my recovery. It
Mm-hmm.
helps me solidify deeper and deeper and deeper into what I believe to be true, especially about my relationship to
Yes.
God, but about my recovery.
Yes. Yes, indeed. If you've heard some of the things that we've talked about from your wife, fiance, girlfriend, significant other, and she's expressed feeling stuck by anger, pain, lack of hope for a future, it might be really good to talk with her about attending the Restore workshop, which is specifically geared to helping women recover from betrayal trauma. And so if you are in a relationship with someone who has experienced that betrayal trauma and she does feel stuck, talk with her about possibly going, find out more information about the workshop. I believe if you've already been to the Everyman's Battle Intensive, you get a discount. She gets a discount on her registration. So make sure to talk to someone at New Life about that. But consider that as a next step for her to help her with her own healing journey through recovering from betrayal trauma. Have her listen to the podcast together. And then, as Doug talked about, don't just listen and go, checked, we did it, check the box, moving on. Listen to the podcast and then set aside time to talk together about what does this look like in our relationship? What are ways that I can draw near to you when you feel stuck? What are ways that I can lean in with empathy and compassion instead of feeling scared and feeling like I'm in trouble and so I run away?
Right.
Yeah. Doug, thanks again.
Thanks, JJ. This was awesome.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, let's continue to walk in integrity.
Thanks for listening. This podcast is just one of the many ways we can encourage and help you. If you're looking for more help, visit us at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Please remember to review, like, and share the podcast as it helps others find us. If you have a comment about this podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line at embpodcast@newlife.com. See you next week.